We have on tonight, of course, King J. He'll be chiming in just a few minutes. But we also have a special guest by the name of Queen Akua Agusi. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. Let me just open up her line really quickly. Good evening, Queen. How are you?
Peace. All is well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Did I say your name right?
Akua Agusi?
Yes, that's right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So we are again, I appreciate you so much for really just jumping right in and saying yes without any reservations. We want to make sure that we always bring the best of the best to these calls, but also we want to make sure that with these calls that we are presenting facts at all times, because that's what's really going to change that's what's really going to wake us up and change the culture. I think I have King J on. Hold on one moment, King. If that's King. Yes, it is.
All right.
Hello, King. Hey, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Okay, King, we have Queen on. Peace.
Queen, thank you for joining us tonight for this AARC, African American Repair Call. And I just wanted to address, everyone that's on the line and I'll be chiming in or listening to the call recordings for our podcast. The African American Repair Curriculum was something that we drafted, a 30-point curriculum that centered around 15 points of social repair and 15 points of economic repair for our people. I believe in being solution-driven. I'm that way in my professional life, I'm that way in my personal life, and I want to be that way in my life of social activism, social healing. And so we know that our community suffers from a lot of trauma and drama and vestiges of our experience and our ancestors' experience here in America, and coming over to America and coming from our original homeland of Africa. And we were left to fend for ourselves and never had any intentional healing. And so our African American Repair calls and our African American Repair curriculum is all about just being intentional about healing our people and plugging in the holes in which we have in our ship that are causing us to sink as a community as opposed to float and sail successfully. So one of the first, we've done a few of these repair calls now. The team has held it down as I've been traveling the country and been on a 18-week, 16-city tour. But tonight, I'm back in action, and I definitely want to be available for this African history call because this really lit a fire under me, and which is really 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to be in Mississippi for a retreat where I was shadowing the new Black Panther Party and a few other freedom fighting groups and got a chance to build some elders who are part of NCOBRA, which is the National Coalition of Black Reparations in America, and a few other groups out of Jackson, Mississippi, and just like freedom fighters, really got a crash course on our history and got awakened as to my false perspective of who I was as a Black man, as an African man in America, or an African American, as I at least thought so of myself at that time. And so, what I want to talk about entering the call is a little bit of my philosophy, ideology, and the importance from my studies and studying Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and others, and just kind of breaking it down in a layman's terms for everybody, like really what it means, and hopefully waking some others up and sparking some inspiration in our souls and our core and our heart. And then I'm hoping and not hoping, I'm going to be passing the mic and we're going to build together onto Queen Akua. She's going to talk about some facts and stats and the importance of some important figures and some important historical events that we all should know about our lineage and our homeland. And then we'll open up a question and answer session. So for me, right, here's the whole breakdown. I realized that probably will help shine some light on a lot of people. So everyone has a different level of quote unquote consciousness, right? Consciousness meaning awareness. Awakeness is in regards to who we are as Black people in our circumstance. So everyone's is different. And, you know, for me, one of the questions that elders asked me, and he was like, oh man, what did he ask me? Now I can't remember the question. But it was a really good question. And I answered him, and he said, boy, you think like you're white. And I was like, what do you mean I think like I'm white? No, I don't. Like, I'm a Black man. What's wrong with you? And what he was saying was that what many of us don't realize is that whether we grew up in the ghettos or suburbs or middle class or whatever, we all, unless we have some special schooling from our parents or you know elders around us, majority of us were brought up in a European American school system, meaning that our curriculums, our books, the philosophies behind how we were brought up from middle school, grammar school, elementary school, high school, all those philosophies are philosophies that derive from the thoughts of European people and European American people. It wasn't our perspective. Most of our perspective is one that's grasped from the European perspective. So everybody sees the world differently. European Americans see the world from the eyes of European Americans, as they should. And Asian Americans see the eyes of the experience of an Asian American. As you know, and so on and so forth. No matter what country, no matter what part of the world you go into, like we can travel to Barbados or to Brazil, and we'll see the eyes of Brazil to the perspective of our own land, not from the eyes of a Brazilian person and their experience. And so I really thought about it like that. I was thinking like, man, everything I did kind of get in regards to my history was from someone that didn't look like me, nor necessarily if I say had my best interest in heart in regards to my culture and me being a strong and educated and connected Black man, connected to where we're from. So we constantly throw around, like you see LeBron, you'll see, you know, many athletes, celebrities, all of us. We constantly throw around the word African American, African American, African American. Right? It's similar to how we throw around the word landlord, right? I always talk about that, like you're a landlord. When you break landlord down, it's really like lord of your land. Like the landlord is the lord of the land. He or she is the boss, the owner, the controller of the land, the lord of the land, right? But we use these terms so fluently, we don't really think about the meaning of them. In the same way, African Americans, like, oh yeah, African American. So you just think about like Black person, but we have to like really take a step back and look at as African, quote unquote, African Americans. At the end of the day, we're African, period. Like we're African people. That's our nationality. Is we're those who derive from different countries. Most of us through the Atlantic slave trade, and from Africa. And I've taken a DNA test, and I know that the majority of my roots come from Benin and Togo in Africa, 78% to be precise. But nevertheless, many of us, you know, again, because of our unique experience, right? Because of the unique experience of our ancestors. So that means us. People be like, oh, you was never enslaved, you wasn't. Oh, yeah, I wasn't. My ancestors were. So we carry the lineage and the legacy of our ancestors. And so their experience is our experience. And so our ancestors, like our great-great-grandparents and great-great-great-great-grandparents, they were Africans who were brought here in America under tough and torturous conditions, and most of them were enslaved here in America and degraded here in America, and then set partially free through the 13th Amendment, and were just left here to fend for themselves. It wasn't just Black people. We use the term Black people. I don't mind that term, but it wasn't just Black people. It was the Africans. That's what we have to hammer home when we talk about our African history. Is that all of our history, we're just Africans who are removed from, because our ancestors were removed from our homeland. And so one thing, so when we get that part, right, that was one first part of my awakening, is understanding my connection to Africa. Like taking it all the way back to the roots of my great-great-great-great-grandparents, all the way, without even knowing there's my family tree, but I do know that I derive my genes, my genetics, my blood flow, my being derived from our motherland, Africa. Therefore, it makes me African before everything. And that's what we gotta realize. And that's what something that Marcus Garvey talked about and preached. And that's something that we talk about in our pledge to the African flag, the red, black, and green, is that we got to remember before we accept the European philosophy of that we're African Americans and accept the fact that you're this new being in America, before you even get to all of that, you can't get to being American before you get to being African first.